She screamed. "You people ruin this neighborhood." And then her SUV slammed straight into Grandpa's. Snowman. That's how it started. Loud, angry, and unbelievable. It was Saturday morning, the first snow of the year, and my grandpa had built that giant snowman right by the mailbox, proud as a kid again. He'd even given it his old veteran's hat. We were laughing on the porch, sipping cocoa, when that white SUV came roaring down the street like it owned the road. She stopped in front of our yard, rolled her window down, and shouted, "That thing's blocking the community path." Grandpa just smiled and said softly, "Ma'am, that's my front yard." But she didn't care. "Not anymore," she yelled, pulling out a fake HOA paper and slapping it on our mailbox like she was the president of the country. I could see the neighbors peeking from their windows. She always did this, bossing people around, handing out fake citations, acting like she ran the neighborhood. Grandpa kept calm, but I saw his hands tremble. "I built this for my grandkids," he said quietly. She laughed, a cold kind of laugh. "Then maybe build it somewhere legal." Before anyone could say another word, she stomped on the gas. Tires screeched, snow flew, and boom. Her SUV crashed right into the snowman, smashing it to pieces. The airbag exploded in her face. Silence fell over the whole street. Then came Grandpa's words. Slow and steady. "You just destroyed a veteran's pride." On his own lawn. Karen jumped out, coughing, blaming everyone but herself. "Your snowman was in the way. This is your fault," she yelled. But something was off. I saw Grandpa looking at the spot where she'd crashed, and his face changed. "You hit the marker," he whispered. I looked closer. The snowman wasn't just on snow. It was standing right above an old stone plaque. A boundary marker. One that proved this land wasn't under the HOA at all. Karen froze, trying to laugh it off. That's fake," she stammered. But Grandpa just turned toward me and said, "Go get the file from the shed." I ran. I didn't know what was in that file, but the look in his eyes told me everything. Karen had just messed with the wrong man. I came back holding that old brown folder, the one Grandpa never let anyone touch. He brushed off the snow from it and opened it slowly, right in front of Karen. Inside were yellowed land papers, military stamps, and something that looked official, very official. "This house, this yard, this land," Grandpa said, his voice shaking but firm, "was given to me by the state when I came home from service. It's not HOA property, it never was." Karen blinked fast, trying to keep her fake confidence. "Oh, please," she said, "these old papers mean nothing. The HOA board already what?" Grandpa interrupted. "Already decided to take what isn't theirs." His tone had changed. Calm but dangerous. You could tell he wasn't just some old man anymore. He had that commanding energy. The kind that makes everyone else quiet. The neighbors started stepping out, phones in their hands, recording everything. One whispered, "She's finally done it." Karen looked around, realizing everyone was watching her. She tried to grab the folder from Grandpa's hands, but he pulled it back. "Touch that again," he said slowly, "and I'll call the real authorities this time." She laughed nervously. "Oh, you don't scare me. I know people in the county office," she shouted, but her voice cracked halfway through. Grandpa smiled faintly. "That's funny," he said, "because so do I." Then he turned to me and said, "Get the camera from the porch. Make sure it's recording." I did. He pointed at the crushed snowman, the broken car, the fake notice still taped to the mailbox. "This is trespassing, property damage, and harassment," he said into the lens. "And she's been warned before." Karen's eyes went wide. "You wouldn't—" "Oh, I would," Grandpa said, slipping one of the papers out of the folder. "This one here is my service grant deed, and this one," he added, unfolding another, "has the judge's signature who made it permanent." Karen took a step back. This can't be right. The HOA owns this whole street." Grandpa chuckled softly. "No," he said. "They thought they did, but I never signed their covenant." "Which means," he pointed right at her SUV, "you just wrecked your car on land you have no authority over." The crowd gasped. Someone shouted, "Call the cops," but Grandpa shook his head. "Let her call them," he said calmly. "Let's see who they arrest today." Karen's fake confidence was fading fast, but she still pulled out her phone, trembling fingers tapping the screen. "I'll get the police here right now," she barked. Grandpa folded his arms. "Good," he said quietly. "Tell them to bring the county inspector too." And for the first time since I'd known her, HOA Karen looked scared. Karen paced in the snow, phone pressed to her ear, her voice shaky but loud. Yes, there's a dangerous man threatening me. He damaged my property. She threw glances toward us, pretending to cry for effect. Grandpa just stood there, arms crossed, watching her like a soldier who'd seen it all before. Minutes later, the sound of sirens echoed down the street. Everyone froze. 2 police cars pulled up, lights flashing red and blue across the snow. Karen rushed toward them, pointing at Grandpa. That's him,
He attacked me and destroyed my vehicle.
she cried. The officers exchanged confused looks, seeing the smashed SUV and the pile of melted snow beside it. One of the officers turned to Grandpa. Sir, can you explain what happened here? Grandpa nodded calmly. Of course, officer. I have everything on camera. He pointed at the porch camera, still blinking red. She drove onto my property and crashed into that snowman my grandkids built. Karen laughed nervously. Lies, that's community land. He's faking papers. Grandpa slowly handed over his folder. Before you decide, he said, take a look at the property deed and the boundary markers she ran over. The officer flipped through the papers, his face tightening. Then he crouched near the broken snow and brushed it aside, revealing the stone plaque with the state's emblem carved in it. Ma'am, the officer said slowly, this is a state veteran property marker. That means this lot isn't under HOA control. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. That's impossible, she whispered. Our HOA owns this entire... The officer held up a hand. Ma'am, please step aside. Then he looked at Grandpa again. Sir, did she trespass here before? Grandpa nodded once. 3 times. I warned her each time. This time she didn't just trespass, she destroyed private property. Karen panicked. He's lying. I'm the HOA vice chair. I was just enforcing regulations. The second officer stepped closer. Ma'am, these regulations don't apply here. And this notice you posted? He peeled the fake HOA paper off the mailbox. This isn't even an official document. It's printed from a template site. A murmur rippled through the neighbors. One of them laughed under their breath. Karen's face went red. You people don't understand. I was just trying to keep standards. The officer sighed. You're lucky no one was hurt, ma'am. This could have been much worse. But then Grandpa said something that changed everything. Actually, officer, someone was hurt. He pointed at me. My hand was bleeding, just a small cut from when I tried to pull Karen's fake notice off earlier. Karen froze. The officer looked straight at her. That's enough, he said. You're coming with us for questioning. She started shouting as they guided her toward the cruiser. You're all making a mistake. I run this neighborhood. Grandpa watched quietly, then looked down at the broken snowman and said, No, ma'am. You just ran into the truth. As the police car pulled away, red and blue lights fading into the cold evening, the street went silent except for the crunch of snow under Grandpa's boots. He stood by the crushed snowman, looking down like he was staring at an old memory. He always builds one every year, I heard Mrs. Palmer, our neighbor, whisper. Since his wife passed. Grandpa knelt down and brushed snow off the veteran's hat that had fallen off the snowman's head. He placed it gently back on top of what was left. His voice was soft, almost a whisper. She didn't just hit a snowman, he said. She hit my promise to your grandma. The neighbors came closer now, people who had always avoided Karen's wrath. We didn't know she was lying about the HOA, one man said quietly. She said she ran it. Grandpa gave a faint smile. She ran it until the truth caught up. One of the officers came back holding a card. Sir, just so you know, she's being charged for trespassing, property damage, and filing a false police report. You'll get a call about court next week. Grandpa nodded, calm as ever. Thank you, officer. And one more thing. Make sure the real HOA board sees those papers. They've been misled for too long. The officer nodded and left. Then Grandpa looked around at everyone. You all deserve to know, he said. I served 30 years. When I came home, the state gave me this piece of land for my service. I built this house, this yard, this life. No one, HOA or not, has the right to take that from me. Someone started clapping. Then another. And soon the whole street was applauding. Something I'd never seen happen in this neighborhood. For once, it wasn't fear holding people back. It was pride. That's when Karen's husband showed up, running down the street out of breath. What happened? he shouted. Karen called me saying she was attacked. Grandpa turned toward him, steady and composed. She attacked herself, he said simply. The man's eyes fell on the wrecked SUV. Oh, my God. He ran his hand through his hair. That car was brand new. Grandpa sighed. Maybe next time she'll learn that rules don't give you power, truth does. He started walking back toward the porch, his breath fogging in the cold air. I followed him, still shaken. Grandpa, I said quietly, how did you know this would happen? He stopped for a second, looking up at the gray sky. When someone spends years fighting for freedom, he said, they can smell control from a mile away. Then he turned to me and smiled faintly. Let's rebuild the Snowman tomorrow. But this time, he looked at the mailbox, still taped with bits of that fake notice. Let's build it bigger. The next morning, the whole neighborhood showed up in our front yard. Shovels, mittens, hot coffee and all. For the first time ever, it wasn't just Grandpa and me. Even the folks who used to avoid eye contact when Karen drove by were smiling, laughing, helping roll giant snowballs for the new snowman. It felt like the cold air finally carried peace instead of tension. Grandpa stood in the center of it all, his old army jacket zipped up, that proud but quiet look on his face. Make it taller this time, he said with a grin. Let's give Karen something to see from jail. Everyone chuckled. But beneath the laughter, there was something stronger. Respect. As we built, I noticed a black SUV slowly driving past the corner. A different one. County officials. They stopped in front of our house and a man in a suit stepped out. Mr. Walker, he called. Grandpa nodded. We reviewed your land documents, the man said. Turns out your property line extends 20 feet beyond what's recorded in the HOA map. You actually own more land than anyone else here. The neighbors gasped. Grandpa just smiled, humble as always. Guess Karen crashed into my bonus yard, he said. Everyone laughed again, but the official stayed serious. We're also opening an investigation into the HOA board. It looks like several notices were forged. Grandpa nodded slowly. I figured, he said. She didn't act alone. The man shook his hand. Thank you for your service, sir. People like you remind us what real ownership means. As the official left, I saw Grandpa's eyes glisten a little, not from sadness, but from something deeper. You see that? He whispered to me. Truth takes time, but it never loses. That night, the story hit local news. The headline read, Veteran Snowman exposes fake HOA scheme. The video from our porch camera went viral. Online, millions of views in hours. People commented things like, this man is a legend, and she picked the wrong grandpa. Karen's face was everywhere, being escorted by officers, shouting that famous line, I run this neighborhood. It became a meme shared with captions like, not anymore. A week later, real justice arrived. The HOA board officially dissolved, citing corruption and document fraud, and the county awarded Grandpa a Medal of Civic honor for defending his land and exposing the fraud. He didn't brag. He didn't post it. He just placed the medal next to Grandma's photo on the shelf. That evening we stood by the new snowman, the biggest one yet. Grandpa looked at it proudly, his arm around my shoulder. You know, he said softly, some fights don't need weapons, just truth. And a camera. I laughed. And maybe a snowman? He smiled wider. Yeah, especially a snowman. As the porch light flickered over the shining snow and the quiet street, Grandpa whispered one last line that stayed with me forever. They tried to bury my peace under their rules. But peace, it always finds a way to stand tall again. And there it stood, our snowman, taller than ever, glowing in the night just like justice.